Hello everyone, this is Rick with Cybernetics, and we're here today to talk about Dell's G15 Ryzen 5515 laptop with the AMD 5800H processor, so let's get started. We'll do a brief unboxing of the unit. We'll display all the physical characteristics, the port configurations, the screen. Then we'll get into the measurements, the weights, dimensions of the unit. I'll catalog a recent purchase experience to help avoid some confusion for future purchases for this laptop or any other computer that you might want to purchase. We'll detail all the external ports and interfaces, capacity, speed, specifications. We'll dive into the internal specs of the unit, show you the upgradable components, detail the power system and power supply. We'll wrap up with a Windows 11 Home versus Pro. So let's get started with the unboxing. Anyway, we've got some cardboard here. Okay, got the power supply. And there's a power cord in there that connects that. Alright, again. Main computer, some paperwork. Alright, so that's the package contents right there. The power supply, the unit itself, and some paperwork. Right now we'll just kind of give you a physical overview of it. Nothing in the front. On the back, you have a USB-C, a USB-A, HDMI. On the left side of the unit, you have your RJ45. You have to physically pull this down to insert the cable. You have a combined microphone headphone jack. You have a battery charge indicator. On the right side of the unit, you have two USB-A ports. Right here, two USB-A ports. Underneath are the speakers and some rubber feet. Opens fairly easy with one finger, so that's not bad. And the screen is 15.5 inches. Alright, for the measurements, my unit weighed 5.38 pounds, approximately 2.45 kilograms. The height was a little over 1 inch at 26.9 millimeters. The diagonal was right at 15.5 inches or 395 millimeters. The depth was 10.7 inches or 273 millimeters. The width was a little over 14 inches at 357 millimeters. All right, let's catalog the purchase experience. I purchased it at Newegg for $1,329. It had a 1 terabyte hard drive and 64 gigs of RAM with the RTX 3050 Ti graphics adapter. They put in the wrong memory in the system. For a 3.2 gigahertz processor, they had put in 2.7 gigahertz memory. Not great for performance. So I sent it back and decided to buy a stripped down version of the laptop. This I purchased for $895, Walmart, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabyte hard drive with the RTX 3050 Ti graphics adapter. I thought it was better to buy this and upgrade the components myself. So I selected this Rip Jaws 2 by 32 gigabyte for a total 64 gigs of memory for the memory upgrade. The Western Digital SN770 PCIe Gen 4 SSD. A heatsink with thermal pads for approximately $10 and a hard drive mounting bracket for approximately $10. And the total of that was $355. Add that to the laptop, subtract from the original $1,329, and I saved a whopping $79 and gained 500 gigabytes of space. Was that worth it? I think so, because now I know what components and the specification of those components that are in the system. I also know that I can put the operating system on the 500 gigabyte, and on the 1 terabyte drive I will install all the applications and my data. So on to the external ports and interfaces. On this screen I'd like to point out these two USB-A ports that are designated as 3.2 Gen 1. And why is that important? Because I have this RTX 3050 Ti adapter, and according to Dell's specification, they were supposed to be 2.0, but instead, as you saw on the previous screen, they're actually 3.2 Gen 1 ports. So there's a little bit of confusion about the port configuration, and you may or may not be able to clarify this before you buy it. Onto the back, there is one 3.2 Gen 2, previous nomenclature 3.1, 10 gigabit port. There's a USB-A 3.2 Gen 1. There's an HDMI version 2.1 and a power adapter. On the left side, you have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet controller. There's a combined headphone microphone jack and a battery status indicator, and the lights, the meaning of the different light indications are over here. Onto the front, there's a left and right microphone here, a camera with 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second, and a camera indicator light. On the bottom, there's a left and right speaker and a service tag. The unit includes a Realtek ALC 3254 audio controller. Internal specs for the system. The display on this one is a 350 Ti 4 GB GDR graphics adapter with 1920 by 1080 resolution, 250 nits of luminance, more nits, brighter display. Typically you'd like at least a 300 nits display for brightness. It only has a 45% color accuracy for frame of reference. For photo editing, you would need 95% photo accuracy, so the color reproduction of this is not great. The contrast ratio is okay, and the refresh rate is decent, except it's paired with a response time that's 35 milliseconds. You would want something 15 to 20 milliseconds if you want to have smooth refresh on the screen. It has a plus or minus 80-degree viewing angle. The wireless module is 2.4 gigabits per second, supports bands 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, all the way up to Wi-Fi 6. 64-bit and 128 WEP encryption, and 5.2 on the Bluetooth version. Memory has 2 SODIMM slots pictured here. DDR4 at 3.2 gigahertz. Dell's maximum memory configuration is 32 gigabytes, although the system will support up to 64 gigabytes. These are the slot configurations here. The power adapter is 240 watts for the 6-cell 86 watt-hour lithium battery, and again, you may not have the battery specified when you go to buy the system, so you might want to ask what is the capacity of the power supply, and that will help you determine whether you're going to get the 6-cell or the 3-cell lithium-ion battery. There's one M2 slot for the combined Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. There's two M2 slots for SSDs, one for the operating system. I'm going to upgrade the other one to the 1 terabyte to host the applications and data. This particular unit had the Ryzen7 5800H with a 128-bit bus and PCIe up to Gen 3. So let's do a little bit of deep dive into the 5800H. It has a base clock speed of 3.2 gigahertz, a maximum burst speed of 4.4 gigahertz, has 8 cores for processing, 2 threads per core for a total of 16 threads. It has a half a megabyte of level 1 cache, 4 megabytes of level 2 cache, and 16 megabytes of level 3 cache. The level 3 cache is pooled and not segregated. It is simultaneously accessible by all 8 cores for improved performance. Now we'll wrap up with a Windows 11 Home versus Pro. Pro has a lot of enterprise management capabilities that for most users, at least at home, are probably not going to be interested in. But two other things that are of interest are the Hyper-V virtual machine capability. And this allows you to create and run software as it was an individual computer. So the virtual machine acts like a complete computer, and you can run different operating systems. So you could have a Linux operating system virtual machine, you could have a Windows operating virtual machine, and once these are configured, you can call them up anytime and run them simultaneously, provided that the resources required are supported by the hardware of your computer. Windows Sandbox is another interesting capability on the Pro version. And it also lets you run applications in isolation specific to Windows. So it's only the Windows operating system. And all the software files are deleted once you close the sandbox. It's like running a brand new installation of Windows. Nothing persists, and it's hardware-based virtualization. So if you have a program that's giving you a problem, you can install it in the sandbox and determine, is it something else that's running on your machine, or is it the fact that the program itself is not operating properly? Well, that includes the unboxing and quick review of the G15 55 gaming laptop. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing, post any questions below, and have a great and wonderful automation day.